Welcome back here on the beautiful campuses of Florida Panhandle Technical College. Here today with Joli Hartzog talking about adult education. Joli conducts her operations within what we call the LRC. That's the Learning Resource Center. Really a state-of-the-art facility right here on the campus of Florida Panhandle Technical College. We've been sort of waiting to get Joli on the program. She stays extremely busy. She's brand new to the program this year. So we wanted to get some insight into what changes may be going on in adult education. And when we come back, we're going to talk to Joli about all that and more. And we will be right back. Welcome back. Here today with Joli Hartzog. Joli, I'm a little bit in the dark myself. I know that there have been a lot of changes to the actual physical plant, to the building itself, but you've come on just this past calendar year here at the Technical College, and you head up adult education. That's about the sum total of what I know. Tell me, short version if you like, what is it that you do, what's your job description, and what service do you provide here on the campus?
Well, I'm coordinator / instructor of adult ed, and we have tried to start some new things this year, and we lost several employees last year by retirement. So Ms. Compton asked me to come in and try to head things up and get everything rolling. We're looking at, we've changed out curriculum, and we're trying to offer a fully online GED program for your high school equivalency diploma, and we've hired another new instructor. So there are 3 instructors, and we also have a para / secretary in our building, and we work on students for different reasons. We have some students that come in that are ready to go to work on their high school equivalency, do not have their high school diploma or GED. Currently, we call it the high school equivalency now, not the GED, even though the GED national testing still calls it the GED test. And so some are at higher levels than others, so we have different levels that a student goes in at. Some are here strictly to get their scores up to go into one of the CTE programs on campus, but their scores may be a little low, so that we get those, help them to get those up. We have students going into nursing that need to pass the TEAS test. We have students that enter adult basic ed, and we move them up from adult basic ed into our GED prep classes, and then we help them to get their diplomas. So different needs. Yeah,
so the two, if I'm hearing you correctly, the 2 larger segments would be the high school equivalency, or what we typically call the GED, and those who need a little bit of remedial education to get those tape scores up or whatever test they're taking respectively for any one of 40 degree and certification programs offered right here on the campus.
Right.
So you serve an internal function. What's cool about the school, and for years I've been saying this, we're like a little village here. We're like a self-contained city. If you need internet help, connectivity, if you need anything to do with cabling or your LAN, you call Bert Fervasi. If you need anything in the way of electrical, you call Curtis Green over at the electrical program. If you need a new desk or a cabinet, you call Steve Elam over at the cabinetry and woodworking shop. Welding and so forth. I don't know if anybody brings their car in to have it worked on, but we've certainly got all of those departments too. But at the end of the day, you are, and this is what's cool about the programs that we do here on campus, because I learned something, and I say that this time truly. I didn't consider the aspect that you actually help remedially some of these students who want to be students in some of the regular degree and certification programs to get up to speed to be able to pass some of their prerequisite tests. Would that be fair?
Yes.
That's huge. So we're building in a qualification program that benefits us. The other side of that is that you're also helping people get their GED so they can go out and get those jobs which require a high school diploma. You've got probably the widest range of ages of students. You've got a veritable cross-section of the community in your programs, and I get a kick out of being in there. You have probably more adults than any other program. When I say adults, those people over 21 and on up. You sometimes have adults on up there into their 40s and 50s and maybe even older.
I think our oldest student is 66.
Currently. Wow. How many, and because I know you've got multiple instructors and you've got multiple facets of what you do, how many students, for lack of a better term, because some of them, well, I guess they're all students, how many can you accommodate, and ultimately how many could you have as that max number that are going through these various functions, do you think?
I'm not sure for the max number. We've been averaging around 50 to 60 students. The thing I've noticed about adult education, it does change. It's always changing because students come in and come out. Some are only with us 2 weeks to get their scores up. Some have been there, for a while because it takes, everybody's working at their own pace, and it takes longer for some, depending on their needs or how much they still have to go and to cover. But we do have all the way from 16-year-olds to 66-year-olds, and we have ESOL students we're working with and doing tests for them too.
So a lot of different people there for a lot of different reasons. Just as many of the regular degree programs on campus allow open enrollment, you basically by default have that same situation. So somebody could come in literally and start at any time, and you would simply meld them into whatever group was doing whatever needed to be done at that time. By default, I guess at times you could go for a long period of time without teaching a specific thing, and at other times it may be the only thing that you're teaching according to the needs of the people in your classes. Right. 50 or 60 people. I know there's always a group in there, and what's interesting is I've seen some of those same faces for 2 or 3 years. You've got some lifelong learning students. Do you have people in some cases coming in for personal enrichment so that they're not necessarily aiming towards a job or ultimately to get into another program, but just for general education purposes?
Yes, we have some. In fact, our 66-year-old, who's an ESOL student from Taiwan, and she comes in to work on her language development to make sure it's better. She's already retired from her occupation. She loves to do math, so she loves to come in my math class just to work on her math and keep her brain sharp. And she works. She's very dependable. She's there every day. She loves to help the other students too, but she's just kind of a lifelong learner. She wants to keep going and keep her brain sharp. So she lives in Sunny Hills and drives to Chipley every day to work on it.
Added benefit there, as a side note, probably is that she gets to interact with some of these younger adults. She certainly can keep up with pop culture and what's going on in the world. Would it be fair to say that most of your students have some kind of financial assistance to qualify that enables them to get
Most do, and we have a real reasonable, tuition. It's $30 a semester is tuition, and you do have to re-enroll each semester or for summer session, but it's very reasonable compared to if you go take a college class or enroll in one of the programs. Even our tuition is very reasonable for what you get. We have 3 certified instructors that you get, a lot of one-on-one time with. So it's a very good deal for students that need to enrich their skills or want to work on their diploma.
In a conversation with Martha Compton, director of the Technical College, here on this program, as a matter of fact, she pointed out that $30 a semester fee would be worth it even if all you did was take advantage of having connectivity and being able to have access to the internet. It would be worth it. Are there some minimum expectations from some of these students, or if they come in for personal enrichment, do you basically, for lack of a better term, just let them hang out and do what they want to do?
No, we don't hang out. We just... we're busy all the time, and they have to show progression. We, look at their progress and do progress reports, and they do need to be there to work on something, not just to hang out. But they do have break times and all that, but we try to. There's a lot of people that are very focused or have deadlines to get certain jobs, and you don't want that to interfere with those students who are working at a really hard pace to get to a certain goal in their life. So we have to really monitor attendance and, tardiness and that kind of thing, just as much as the other programs do.
So there are obviously expectations for the students
Yes.
to perform, and you say to show progress. We are continuously singing the praises of Martha Compton, director of the school. She's aggressive, she's very proactive, she's tough, but she's fair. She requires a lot out of her instructors, she requires a lot out of her staff, and she also requires a lot out of the students on campus. Because of that, she has achieved some really wonderful things. There are programs now that are taking place at the school that we could have only dreamed about in the past. We've got a drone program getting ready to start up. We've got state-of-the-art digital and audio production, things that you have to really look a long way to see. More importantly, all of the classes here are judged based on their job placement. And it's hovering around 100%, depending on the program. Cosmetology, drafting, other programs, 100% consistently. Others a little bit less, but that's only according to those who want to get a job when they get out of here. But typically, every program here on campus now, over 40 degree and certification programs, if people want a job, they can typically be placed in one. Also, they've got a pretty darn good chance of passing whatever state board they have to pass, whether it's cosmetology or welding or
Right.
whatever. The pharmacy tech is huge right now. For you personally, what has been one of the bigger challenges going from a middle school where you're dealing with that age group to now dealing with adults here on the Technical College campus?
I guess the challenge is when I was teaching math, even though I had students on different levels, they, if it was a certain class I was teaching, you had certain expectations for the whole class, and the next class that came in, and the next class that came in. And even though you still had to treat them as individuals, you didn't have such a varied group of levels all at one time, because we have students that might be on a second grade level up to a 12.9 plus grade level. So I haven't had that experience of trying to work with so many varied levels at one time, because they were grouped with math. So you would have lots of levels, but you had them at different times of the day. And that's not the case now. They're all there when they're there. So you just work around that. But we've tried to vary. We do in classroom instruction. We have classes, different levels of class, and we have computer programs. They're on computer time. We know that all students don't learn the same way, so we try to vary it. Some don't work as well in the classroom setting, but they still find out that it's a setting where it's not a high school classroom setting where you're going for 45 minutes, to 50 minutes, and you have to have everything done and turned in right away at the same time, and everybody does the same thing. So they've learned it's not as intimidating as the classrooms that they used to be in. And a lot of them, that's why they didn't finish in a regular high school setting. It just didn't fit them. And so some of them had to mature a little bit and decide what they wanted to do, and so they're ready to do it now. So it makes a difference. A lot of our students are driven in what they want to do now. They've come to that point in their life. They know, I want to do this, and I want to do it now, and I don't want to drag around anymore. So it's nice and refreshing to have a student that's like that too,
Well, and that makes sense. I would dare say that most of the students in high school don't want to be there on any given occasion. You've already answered most of this question here, but I still want to ask you, what's been the best part of being a faculty member here on the Technical College campus?
Well, it's just, I guess, a family here, and you just feel that, and I've had, I helped this student one afternoon for 3 hours, to get into the hemodialysis, reviewing her math, she came back in the next week and just hugged me, and, I was like, that was really nice. It's really nice when students appreciate what you've done and you help them get to a point where they can go into a program or finish their program and get a good job, and it's just real rewarding. And just having the faculty that is here at Florida Panhandle has been really, really great. Everybody works well together and helps each other out in whatever way we need to. So,
in conversation with some of the other instructors here on the campus, they all have a constant theme, and that's that their extended family continues to grow. And year after year, those returning students come back, say, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't have gotten this well-paid job. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been able to go on with the next chapter of my life. I would imagine as you're here for a period of time that your extended family will also grow, and you've already mentioned people coming back and hugging you. For almost a year now, the Technical Center has been a technical college. We were Washington Homes Technical Center for a lot of years, and just recently became a technical college along with some other technical centers around the state. What are your personal thoughts on that? I will tell you that we've experienced across the state about a 30 to 35% increase in enrollment when a technical center has become a technical college because of that stigma of going to a vo-tech versus going to college. Nobody wants to tell their friend who's going to college that they're going to a vo-tech or they're going to a welding school. If they can say they're taking welding at a technical college, all of a sudden that raises them up a level. What are your thoughts on that? Do you find that some of your students have taken ownership of the fact that they are going to truly what is a college?
I think, yes, I think the students recognize that. They like it, the new name. They like it being called the Technical College. And I've worn my shirt different places, around town. And it's just, I've had people ask me, where do you work? And that's a college? And so I think it's been a really good positive thing for the school. I think eventually, Ms. Compton had mentioned bringing in some other programs because of that, and we should be able to expand and do some different things eventually with some of the programs. So it opens some doors, which is wonderful here. My son just finished the welding program here recently, and my husband went through welding many years ago here, but he has a hard time changing. A lot of people have a hard time calling it the new name, and so I get on to him all the time and say, no, we're not the VOTEC. We are not the Technical Center. We're the Technical College. So I think it's been a good, positive thing. Even though people who've been here for years, it's hard for them to say the new name since they've said the other name for so long. But I do think they think it's a positive thing. My husband was really excited about it. He wants to go through the drone program when he retires from Gulf Power, and he can't wait to do that. So he's hoping Miss Compton will get the drone program going. But so I think it's a really good thing for our community to have a technical college, and so I think that with some of the surrounding ones are still called technical centers, it'll be a good positive thing for us.
I think many of the instructors have even reveled in the fact that it is now a college. To say that you teach at a college, I mean, it sounds better. At the end of the day, you're doing the same work, but we're all people, and there's that ego involved, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I think it's actually to be commended. We found that, again, we've got these people coming back. Eddie Beckworth is a good example, instructor of the welding program. Guy comes out of his course, out of his class, gets some certifications, goes on, comes in with a check for 3 days for $2,000, and he says, "Man, I wish I made that kind of money." And I start with Eddie in this context because he's one who could be out there in that workforce making a lot of money because he truly is a master welder, choosing instead to be an instructor and then turning out who knows how many thousands of qualified work people. Hats off to you as an instructor here. All the instructors in that same mindset, caring dramatically about the people with whom they work. That's strong. I got to tell you, for almost 2 years before we came on as paid, we did what we do today at totally no cost. That's how much we believed as an advertising agency. We saw what the Technical Center at that time did, and we were telling that story because at the end of the day, it's stories like this that will allow us as a community to grow. Just recently we came online with this radio station, as a matter of fact. Again, one of Martha Compton's bucket list items, which she's now achieved. The drone program, you talk about that. Many other things and she's like a duck going across the water. It looks nice, calm, and serene, but under the surface, there's all this churning going on. When you talk to Martha, you know that she's got a million other things going on in the background. If you have to work for somebody, why not work for somebody dynamic like Ms. Compton? And that is a great. As a matter of fact, just this summer, you got a facelift over there. You had a bunch of remodeling done. Yeah, not you personally, but the building. Yeah, that makes it sound like we're doing plastic surgery on the campus. But your building actually underwent a huge renovation. They got rid of a lot of old stuff. You're much more bright, airy. If you hadn't been in the LRC recently, you need to check it out. It's a totally different world over there now. It was kind of claustrophobic almost. You had lots of stuff. Now it's actually by default become one of the assembly points. We've had some programs that involve the entire student body along with guest speakers that have been held right there. Thanks for taking the time. I know you're a little bit under the weather. Your voice is a little bit gone out on you as a result of this cold you've had. But thanks for taking the time. I think it's extremely important that we tell the extended community, the region, about what we do here on the Technical College campus. You fulfilling a very large part of that. You had big shoes to fill. You came in behind the last person in that position, who for many years fulfilled that place. And for what it's worth, people are singing your praises. They like you a lot personally. From everything I'm hearing, people are happy with what you're doing. Thanks for being here. You could be elsewhere. So you're just another example of somebody who's come to this college campus to provide that service. So thanks, and thanks for being here today.
Thanks. Thank you for having me.
Our guest today has been Joli Hartzog, the director, instructor, if you will, of the adult education program here, taking place in what we call the LRC, the Learning Resource Center. And we will be right back.